Hi guys, my name's David Bertelshaw and this is the Triumph Speed Triple RS. Alright, so here we have the Triumph Speed Triple RS, and what a machine this is. I've been lucky enough to have it for the past 2 days. Yesterday I spent about 7 hours non-stop riding this bike around Surrey. So we've got a good opportunity to test out motorways, dual carriageways, just regular A roads, and also some like really twisty, tight, narrow roads in Surrey, which, you know, some of the roads around here, they can be, you know, you can't really see much, they're very bumpy. So got an opportunity to test out both the acceleration, braking, handling, and the suspension of this bike, which, to be honest, I'm actually really impressed. This bike, let me give you some numbers to start off with. Okay, so 1050 cc's, 3 cylinders, 148 brake horsepower, 117 Newton meters of torque. So this bike can shift. We've got some other good stats. I'm going to throw them at you to start off with. So we've got Öhlins shocks on the front and rear. These are fully adjustable on the front as well. We've got twin Brembo floating discs on the front with 4 piston calipers and a single Brembo disc at the back with 2 pistons. And then, not on top of that, we've got carbon fiber everywhere. So much carbon fiber. But let's have a little think. What do we think about this as a looking vehicle? How do you think it looks, guys? Me personally, I think this is a very good looking bike. I love the design that Triumph have gone to in their vehicles recently. The design team, it's, you know, clearly a Triumph. It's almost, you know, it's quite an iconic look. This Speed Triple's very distinguishable with this chassis design here, and I think it looks great. In comparison to like a street triple, it's a little bit beefier. You know, the design of it doesn't look as slender. It's a bit more like a bulldog, you know, instead of a greyhound. So it's a little bit chunkier, and that is reflected in the weight of this because it is 189 kilos dry. So it's much heavier than the street triple, which is I think 166 kilos. And although that is quite sizable, and to me it does feel heavier when you're moving it around, once you get flowing with the bike, that weight kind of disappears. I didn't feel yesterday like I was really having to wrestle with it at all. It would flow nicely through the corners, and actually there's a lot of confidence. You know, you've got big rear tires on this, a lot of power, a lot of grunt. The suspension was keeping those tires on the floor. It was keeping it on the ground, and going through the corners you can throttle out nicely and it will just sink down and power out. And so, to be honest, I didn't really notice the weight as much as I thought I would, having the Street Triple be the bike that I rode last week, and like how nimble and agile that felt. Yes, this bike doesn't quite feel as nimble and agile as the Street Triple. It's a different bike. It's a little bit more of a brute. You know, it gives you that rush. Like, the engine is fantastic. You get this bike above 6,000, 6,500 RPM, and that torque curve really comes in. It honestly, it will it will catch you. You can't be asleep riding this bike. Don't get me wrong, it's safe, but it's not exactly, it's not slow. So when you're going, you know, if you're going to slowly ease on that power, yeah, the front will come up, but there's some brilliant tech on this bike, which I'll get to in a minute, which kind of helps you out in that situation. So for me, the question I've been asking myself is really, is it worth spending another £3,000 to £4,000 on a Speed Triple as opposed to a Street Triple? Because the Street Triple is a fantastic bike. I really enjoyed it. I had such a great time last week riding it. And so the question I've been thinking to myself is exactly that. Is this bike worth the extra £3,000 or £4,000? And the thing that I keep coming to is, this is a better vehicle The tech on here is better, the suspension's better, the brakes are better, the tires are great. Like, it is more powerful, it's faster. There's some like new features up front as well, which you don't get on the street triple, like cruise control, for example, like keyless entry, for example. These are all features which do make this bike a more premium product, a better motorcycle. But in the UK, is it necessary? Is it worth it to have this extra power? Like, the Street Triple's got 123 bhp, you know, this got 148. It is more powerful, it is faster. Is it more fun? I mean, I had a smile on my face most of yesterday, but then so did I the week before. At the moment, I'm undecided. I think that it is going to come down to personal preference as to whether you decide to get this bike as opposed to like a Street Triple, for example, or another naked sports bike. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. I think if you have the money and that's not the question for you, then you're probably going to go for this because it is a better vehicle. But you will have so much fun, and if you're a slightly smaller person, then maybe the Street Triple's for you. That's what I think, perhaps. I think that's maybe the case. Right, let me talk to you a little bit about tech. So, as I mentioned, we have got a few different features on this bike, which I think are really great, actually. Cruise control, first and foremost. This is the first time that I have ridden a bike that's got cruise control, and it was actually really nice. I think if you are someone that has that you're going to be riding on the motorway for like an hour or something, you know what it's like when you're just kind of sat there holding the throttle open and it gets a little bit uncomfortable. The cruise control on this, it does actually mean you can take your hand off the bar if you want, shake out your wrist, relax a little bit on the bike, and that is quite a nice feature. I definitely think that if I was gonna get another new bike, that would be a feature I'd really want to have. The other thing on this bike, which is great when it comes to tech, is the keyless entry. So there's no key hole here, and it actually had me flummoxed because yesterday I came to put petrol in it and there's a key that you need to get into here, and the fob, which I've got on me, it just looks like this. I was like, oh my god, how am I going to get in? Yeah, then I realized there's a little flick up button. It took me longer than I'd like to admit to figure that out. So yeah, keyless entry, it's really nice. It means you can just get off the bike, turn it off. There's a little button here to lock the steering column, and that's quite a nice feature. It's quite a luxurious feature. The other cool tech on this is we've got 5 rider modes. So you've got wet weather, obviously, normal, road, sport, track, and then rider, which is kind of a customizable option for you. And that allows you to adjust the ABS, the traction control, the mapping of the vehicle. And so it does change the characteristics depending on the settings that you're in. Now, I kind of think, what's the point? Like, yes, customization is fantastic, but I kind of feel like the bikes only really need a couple of settings, a couple of modes. I think, like, yes, it's good to have a wet weather mode, because especially with a bike like this, if it is wet, then to have a little bit less acceleration, low down to stop the back wheel spinning is a good idea. But I mean, I had it in sport mode the whole time. Like, I got it in wet, flicked it into sport, and I've just been thrashing around because it's a nice sunny day here in the UK. So I think that if you're owning a bike like this, wouldn't you just have it in wet when it's raining, and then in sport when it's not, and then maybe track if you're going to go on the track? That's my thoughts. I don't think we need to have so many different customizable options. What other tech have we got on here? I mean, you can adjust the screen. Like, these new screens from Triumph are fantastic, great in different weather conditions. If it's bright, if it's dull, they change the color, which is fantastic. And you can just completely customize the whole setup. You can get the Bluetooth connectivity, so you can have your phone connected to the screen, so you get your guidance on sat-nav, for example, on your screen, which is great. And yeah, I think overall it's a pretty great setup. We've obviously, one thing I haven't touched on is the exhaust tips here. So these come, the RS comes with Arrow silencers on. Now, this is something which maybe I want to hear from you guys in the comment section what you think. Personally, I think that with bikes, with a sports vehicle, be it a car or a motorbike, the sound of that engine is one of the things which you buy that vehicle for. You want to get that feeling, you want that rush, and the sound makes such a big difference to it. But the way that bikes and cars are having to be restricted because of EU regulations, they're not as loud, they're not as visceral. And although this one sounds good, I think potentially a stock exhaust and then changing it to aftermarket exhaust and taking the baffle out is what I would personally do, just because then it sounds really throaty. Like that 1050cc engine is great, but taking these off, maybe putting a low exhaust down at the bottom. I mean, if I was going to customize it, that's what I would personally do, because it takes a lot of the size out of the back, and I think it makes it look a little bit sleeker. So yes, here we have the Triumph Speed Triple RS. I've had a great time riding it. I want to have another little play on it today. I've still got another day with it, which is exciting. I'm really excited about that. Oh, one last thing, color, right? You can get it in 2 colors from the factory. It comes in a white with red accents here, or this black with the green accents. Now, this green / yellow luminous color, I feel like on a bike that's this expensive, that this color is a little bit young. I think that it needs, like, if this was red, I think it would look amazing. But these colors, I would get it in the white because I don't like this green. But that's just a personal thing. If you like luminous colors, you know, there's a Yamaha MT-07 which comes in bright luminous green. You might want to get that one instead. But I'm going to go have another little play and just use as much of this bike as possible. All right, team, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. My name's David Bersell, and please like and subscribe to the channel, so then I get an opportunity to do more of these amazing reviews and get to drive cool bikes and show you guys some awesome content. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.